Hello and welcome to another episode, and today this episode is going to be a little scripted but unscripted. The episode is going to be about my predictions for E3 2017, and we're going to jump into it here. And just what I think is going to get announced, what's going to happen, what maybe predicting some of the surprises are, some of the things I want to see, and maybe I'll give you even one crazy ass one that won't happen but I'd love to see happen. So anyways, let's dive into it. So the first company that I want to talk about is Nintendo. Obviously, Nintendo's hot off the presses with the Nintendo Switch, so they're going to talk a lot about the Nintendo Switch this year. I think, obviously, they're going to talk about Mario Odyssey. Super Mario Odyssey is going to be their big fall game for sure. But they have other things. They have to basically pound it home here that this system isn't going to become another Wii U. They're going to have games for it. They'll have a steady stream of games. They'll talk about Splatoon 2 because Splatoon 2 comes out in July, and that's their next big game. Get something Metroid related. They've teased it long enough. There's been enough scuttlebutt going around for the last 2 years that I believe a new Metroid game exists. I believe that they're working on it for sure. And I think this is the year that you will get a answer on what that is. Essentially, is it a new 2D Super Metroid type game, or is it a 3D Metroid Prime type game? I don't know, but I think this is the year that you'll hear about it. I also think you will get Super Smash Brothers for Switch. I think it'll be a port of the Wii U game. I think you will get a new Super Smash Brothers down the road for this system, just like I think you will also get a new Mario Kart at some point. But the whole thing with the Nintendo Switch is they can easily port these Wii U games over because they were excellent games in their own right, and port it over because a lot of people didn't own a Wii U that own a Switch, so they'll want to play these games. Look at Mario Kart 8. In its first weekend, it sold more copies than it did in its first weekend on the Wii U, and there were plenty more Wii U's out there than there are Switches. So that only proves the point that doing these, I guess you can faintly call them remasters, but ports of these games is a fantastic idea. So I really think you will get that. Finally, I think you will get clarification on if Pokemon Stars is real, which would be the unofficial third Pokemon game in the Sun and Moon series, but it will be Switch related. That would be really cool. As someone who is a very lapsed Pokemon fan, I'm not a huge Pokemon guy. I've never tried to be a huge Pokemon guy. I would love to play a Pokemon game and actually get into a Pokemon game for sure. So I would love to sit down and actually enjoy a Pokemon game for once. And the last Pokemon game I actually enjoyed X. I could not get into Pokemon Sun. I just didn't like it. So I would love to play a Switch version of this, though, absolutely. And then obviously you'll get your Nindy Sizzle Reel, which the indie games, they call them Nindies, clever, cute name for that there. I think you'll get some surprise announcements there too for games that you wouldn't expect to come to the Nintendo Switch. I also think something big like Stardew Valley will get a release date. They said late summer. I'm expecting like August. I wish it was sooner. I can't wait for that game to come to the Switch so I can play it again. But I think you will get some release dates, and there'll be a long sizzle reel for that. There'll obviously be some other wacky surprises for Nintendo. I think you'll get something new that you're not expecting, kind of like an ARMS type situation. And then I think you'll also get other things that you are expecting. But I think Nintendo, they need to hit it hard. They need to hit the ground running. And their best way to do that is to show off a new Metroid or Pokemon Stars or the Smash Brothers port that probably exists. But Nintendo, they already have a good momentum going for them because this system sold so well. So it'll be interesting to see exactly what happens for Nintendo. Then I want to talk about Microsoft. Out of all three companies, Microsoft is the one that stands to really gain the most here at E3 this year. They've been kind of in the shitter for the last 6 months. And I know the reason is they just haven't really had a lot of exclusive games come out and really hit the ground like Sony has. But again, I've always maintained that Microsoft for 3 years has had some excellent exclusive games. Sony has only had really excellent exclusive games for PS4 in the last 3 months. So it's the argument of 3 years versus 3 months. And that's not to say that there weren't excellent games on Sony's platform. For sure, things like Bloodborne and Uncharted 4. excellent games that came out, but I'm talking more recently. Every fall since the PS4 has come out, it's been really lacking in exclusive games, and that's the one thing that Microsoft has done really well is they've put out their exclusive games in the fall, and their springs are usually filtered with maybe one exclusive game. Last year it was Quantum Break, which was subpar, I would say. Some people really liked that game, I didn't. Then this past year here, it's been Halo Wars 2, which has actually been a very solid Halo Wars game. So, but they need games. That's the thing they need right now. They need games. They need exclusive games. They need games. They just need games, man. And doing the Xbox Play Anywhere thing, I think, has been a real hindrance for them because now you've taken that market. And yes, they're doubling their sales because they're getting people that buy these games on PC, so they're getting more sales in the software side of things, but they're not getting more hardware sales because your average consumer that has a decent PC is going to say, well, why would I buy an Xbox One when I could just play these games on the PC? And that's the problem with doing that. So, first things first, obviously, Scorpio. Scorpio is going to be there in a huge, big way. I'm really excited about the Scorpio. I hope that it is what the promise of the PS4 Pro has been, that it hasn't lived up to yet. My prediction, I predicted will be out in October. I think that makes the most sense. I think they need to get this machine out ahead of the holiday season. I think putting it out in November is a mistake. And my prediction, and this is going to get some people up in arms. So there are people that think this system is going to be like $600-700. There's no way any company is putting out a new system that high of a price since the Sony E3 2006 fiasco. It's never happening again. Will not happen. My prediction is it's going to be $449. I think that is the premium the highest part of the ceiling you can hit without people going, shit, it's $500, I'm out. And that will happen. There will be people that are put down by the price of this, but I think your GameStops and your Best Buys are going to have trade-in deals and stuff to get people to trade in their Xbox or their Xbox One S for this machine. Absolutely. $449 I think is the highest ceiling. I would love to see it at $400 because then it competes with the PS4 Pro, and I guarantee you once this thing comes out, PS4 Pro gets a price drop to $350 because Sony has to. But I think you're getting an October release date, and my guess is $449. I don't think it can go any higher. I could see it going to $400, but that's the lowest. I don't think it would be lower than that, or they're going to have to sell this machine at a loss. For games is the real big question for Microsoft. I think you get a Halo. I think absolutely you're getting a Halo 6 teaser. I think after the mistakes of Halo 5 with the story not centering on Master Chief, I think you will get a Master Chief centered teaser. I think obviously it'll be 2018, but it's going to be kind of teaser where it says, hey, we're working on Halo 6. We're really doubling down on the story of the game. We're focusing on Master Chief. We're focusing on why Cortana is doing what she's doing now, and I think that is the focus of this game. I think, yes, unfortunately, you're still going to get Agent Locke in the game, but my prediction for that game, and I've said this since the end credits of Halo 5 rolled, I think Halo 6 is a 4-player Halo 3 style game. I think it'll be Chief, Locke, Buck, and Arbiter, and I think they'll all be hanging out, and those will be your 4 characters that you play as. I could be totally wrong on that. I don't think you're going to see anything close to that. This will be a tight 2 to 3 minute cinematic teaser for Halo 6, or whatever they call it. I know that they said recently that they don't want to add numbers to Halo anymore, so I think it'll be a Halo subtitled game, but it will not have a number attached to it anymore. I also think, and a lot of people are going to think it's too early, but I will remind you that in 2013 we got a teaser for Halo 5. A teaser, that 3-minute teaser was better than anything story related in Halo 5 as well, but it was really fast. It was like 6 months we got that teaser. I think you're getting a Gears 5 teaser. Obviously Gears of War 5 is a long ways off. If Gears, we got to think about this for a second. If Gears of War 4 came out in 2016, Gears of War 5, it's about a 3-year development cycle. You're not going to see a Gears 5 until 2019. But I think you get if we live in a world where we can get a Last of Us 2 teaser for a game that's not coming out till 2019, then hey man, we can get a teaser for Gears 5, and I absolutely think you're getting a teaser for Gears 5 here. Some other pie in the sky things that I think here. I really think that Halo 3 Anniversary is a thing. I know that they've been kind of cagey talking about this, 343 Studios that is, but I think Halo 3 Anniversary is a thing. because this is the 10th anniversary of Halo 3. It's my favorite Halo of all of the Halos. I think you're going to get a remastered campaign. Maybe they remaster some maps. I don't know about that part of it, but I think you're going to get it. It's going to come out. Maybe they put it on disc. That's the part of it I don't know. But I think it'll come out at a $20 price point, and it'll be discounted if you own Halo Master Chief Collection, because they know they had all those problems and mistakes with the Master Chief Collection. And I think that if you don't own that, I think you'll be able to buy it as a standalone download for about $20. That's my guess. But I'm a firm believer that is a thing that exists. I'll be surprised if it doesn't. I think you're going to get release dates for some of these other big Microsoft games that they've been talking about for the past 2-3 years. Sea of Thieves. I think Sea of Thieves is really close. I think it's a lot closer than people think. I think you're going to get a release date of August 2017 for that game. I think they will show a lot more of Sea of Thieves, and they need to kind of hammer it home. I would like to see a trailer for that game that shows maybe more of a story or something. I'm kind of tired, and they've been kind of doing the Rainbow Six thing with the trailers for Sea of Thieves, where it's been like 4 to 8 people in a room playing with face cams, and like I'm tired of that. Like I get it. I know what the game's about. I really want to play it. I don't need a trailer showing me that and showcasing that part of it anymore. But I think Sea of Thieves is August 2017. I think that it's time, it's ready, and they need to kind of shove that out. And I think it would be better if that game came out earlier rather than to get buried during the fall when all these big third-party games are coming out. Crackdown 3 is the other big game. I think, obviously, when Crackdown 3 was announced a couple years ago, it was announced with this idea of the power of the cloud was going to fix all these issues rendering big giant buildings being destructed and stuff. I think that's all been wiped out of the game. I don't think that the power of the cloud has anything to do with Crackdown 3 anymore. I think when you sit down to play Crackdown 3, it's going to be the difference of, hey, if I play this in my Scorpio, you get all that crazy-ass destruction and everything because the system is powerful enough to render that. And I think if you're playing on an Xbox One or an Xbox One S, you're going to get some destruction, but not on that level. But I think Crackdown 3, October 2017 makes the most sense for that game. I could be totally wrong here, but I believe that that's what it is. But you're going to get Crackdown 3. They're going to double down on that game for sure this year. Then obviously Forza 7. I'm not going to dwell on Forza because I'm not a huge car guy, but Forza 7, we all know it's real. It's probably coming September 2017. That's the easiest thing to predict. So that game's going to look hella better on Scorpio, but I believe that game will be out in September 2017, and they'll do their big, hey, we got a car on stage, ha ha ha. If they want to do it cool for me, have Phil Spencer drive that car into that theater and get out of it. That's what I want to happen. Make me more excited about a frickin' Forza game, and that would get me excited about a Forza game. Although I will maintain Forza Horizon 3 is a damn good game, and I don't like racing games. Another game that I want to mention is Cuphead. Cuphead has essentially become Microsoft's last guardian this generation. It was announced way back in E3 2013 at the start of this console cycle, and now 4 years later we haven't heard anything about Cuphead other than like your typical E3 update, and that's it. And every time it's just, hey, Cuphead's coming, it's coming, but we don't know when. I think this is the year you will get a Cuphead release date. My prediction for Cuphead is that it will be a surprise announcement. Hey, it's out today for $14.99 or $19.99 or however much it costs, but it will be a Windows 10, Xbox One, Play Anywhere title for sure. I think you're going to get the return of one big major Microsoft exclusive thing that was from the past. I think it's either going to be something like MechAssault or it's going to be Crimson Skies. Those are my two bets. There are other franchises. I don't think you're getting a new Voodoo Vince. I think Voodoo Vince Remastered was such a passion project that Phil Spencer basically made it happen because he wanted it. But I don't think you're getting a new Voodoo Vince. I think that's dead. But I think out of all the original Xbox properties, those are the two that make the most sense. So it'll be one of those two things for sure. And then the other two big ones that I have written down here is I think Fable isn't dead. Even though Lionhead Studios is, I still think that some other studio Microsoft owns is going to take up the reins of Fable. I think they will announce a new Fable. It's not going to be the Fable Legends thing that they were making or whatever that game was called. It just didn't look good. I think this will be a true proper Fable 4 type sequel. A lot of people really like Fable, and I think people are really excited for another Fable, and I think it will happen. Microsoft would own the name of that game, so they can easily make another Fable without Lionhead. And it's a shame, but I feel like that's happening. And then finally, my other big prediction here, and this is going to be, I'm trying to do one kind of crazy one for each platform prediction, and this probably won't happen, but this is what I'm predicting, is I think the time is right for Rocksteady to show whatever hell game they've been working on, and I think if Microsoft is smart, they scoop up the rights for the marketing for that game. So I think that whatever Rocksteady's doing, maybe it's a Justice League game, maybe it's still a Suicide Squad game, I think that was Warner Brothers Montreal and they scrapped that. But whatever game Rocksteady is working on, I think that this is the year it is announced, and I think Microsoft scoops up the rights for it. And the reason I say that is because I guarantee you whatever this Warner Brothers Montreal Batman game is that's announced will be on Sony's stage, which we'll get to here in a couple minutes. But I think that it makes the most sense for Microsoft to scoop up the rights to have the marketing deal for Rocksteady's new game, be it a Justice League game. And a Justice League game makes the most sense. We're getting a Justice League movie this year, so that makes the most sense to me. But that's my prediction for that, and those are my predictions for Microsoft. They really have to have a good E3 this year. As someone who loves Microsoft, I love the Xbox One, and I really want to see them succeed. I want to see everybody succeed. I don't harbor any hatred for any of these platforms. But Microsoft, I really would like to succeed. And this is I would argue this is the most important E3 for them ever. Hopefully it goes well. Hopefully there are more surprises. That's just my predictions on that. Anyways, let's get into Sony. So I have quite a bit written down for Sony. Obviously, Nintendo's is like Tuesday. They're doing a direct like they have been for the last couple of years. Microsoft moved theirs up to Sunday afternoon, and I believe instead of an hour and a half, it's 2 hours. So that'll be I'm really excited and interested to see that. And then obviously Sony is still going Monday night. So obviously, and these are not going to be in any kind of order. Obviously, you're going to get your Destiny 2 blowout, and you're going to get your Call of Duty World War II blowouts. They'll talk about those games. They'll show a bunch of footage. Obviously, big deal, whatever. They'll talk about their exclusivity thing. For Call of Duty, it'll be, hey, these maps come to Sony. They're exclusive for 30 days until they come to other platforms. For Destiny, they'll do the same, dickery that they've done with Destiny 1 with different weapons and strikes and stuff. But I predict here that you will get the new Batman game by Warner Brothers Montreal. Sony will have a marketing deal on it. Obviously, it will come to both PS4 and Xbox One. But I believe this is where it will be announced. It's obvious the game is real. What the game entails, what it's about, who are the voices, that's all up in the air. I think if you're smart, you get back. You easily... If you're going to double down on having the Joker in this game, which they're going to have to because they feel like they have to have the Joker in every single one of these games, I think you get Troy Baker back as the Joker. I think you get, I always forget his name, but my buddy that does the voice of Chris Redfield, who did a really good job playing Batman in Arkham Origins, you get him back as Batman easily because he's the younger Batman, essentially. But I think that's totally a real thing. I think it's announced at E3 this year. The time is right for that game as well. The other big one, the one that I'm really excited about because it was announced 2 years ago and we haven't heard anything about it in 2 years, and I fully believe that was because other iterations had to come out first. That is Resident Evil Remake 2 or Resident Evil 2 Remake. Capcom announced 2 years ago that they were remaking Resident Evil 2, which is probably the most beloved. It's not my favorite, obviously. My favorite game of all time is the original Resident Evil, but for a lot of people, Resident Evil 2 is their favorite, so that's a huge deal. It was announced over 2 years ago that they were doing this. We've seen nothing, no screenshots, no footage, nothing about this game in 2 years. This is the year that you hear about it. I think they come out, they blow it out, they show a bunch of it, show what it looks like. I think it has a January 2018 release because they've been releasing these Resident Evil remasters and then Resident Evil 7 every January since 2015, so that makes the most sense. But I think you get a blowout this year, and man, I hope that that game looks cool. I hope that it maintains. I hope that it is a Resident Evil remake level for Resident Evil 2. So what the PS1 to GameCube was for Resident Evil, I hope that's what it is for Resident Evil 2. I hope they don't dick with the formula too much. I hope it still has tank controls and fixed camera angles, or I'll be a little disappointed. I'm really excited for that. It's probably one of my most anticipated things for E3 this year. I think you'll get an update on Ni no Kuni 2, or whatever they're calling Ni no Kuni 2. Ni no Kuni was a fantastic RPG that came out well at the end of PlayStation 3's life cycle. Was a really fantastic game. Beautiful, gorgeous cutscenes by Studio Ghibli. I think that you'll see a lot about that game at E3 this year. They've kind of teased it at PlayStation Experience last year, but I think you'll hear about it. Maybe we get a release date, but I would venture to say it's not this year. Another big one. This one could go either way. I'm not going to talk about Kingdom Hearts because Kingdom Hearts isn't coming out anytime soon. Get over it. But Final Fantasy VII Episode 1. Fully believe that they have to get Episode 1 of that out this year to hit the 20th anniversary deadline. I think that December 2017 you will get it. I don't know. Here's where it's going to get fishy. I don't know if they're going to announce a release date for that at E3. I think you will get more of a blowout on it because they're going to have to. That's the thing that the kids want. It's the thing that the kids are talking about constantly is Final Fantasy VII Remake. I mean, to be fair, they're also talking about Kingdom Hearts. Final Fantasy VII, I think absolutely they will talk about it at E3 this year. Whether or not they give you a release date for Episode 1, that remains to be seen, but I think if they don't announce a release date, I still think at PSX in December it's going to be a surprise thing. We're like, hey, download Episode 1 today. It's X amount of money. We'll talk about Final Fantasy VII. They'll also have a brief sizzle reel for Final Fantasy XII Remastered as well. There's another weird one. This isn't really about games, but PlayStation VR is a big elephant in the room. Obviously, they had a big showing of it at E3, or a little bit of a showing, but not a big one at E3 last year. And then we talked about more at the PlayStation Pro event last September, and then they had a pretty decent talk about it at PSX. It's going to be really interesting to see what they do with PSVR at E3 this year. Do they talk about it? Is it just a sizzle reel, or do they actually lay into some big games for it? My prediction is that it's just a sizzle reel, and they keep it to a PSX thing because even though PSVR is an extension of the PlayStation 4 platform, it's a niche thing that not everybody owns and not everybody cares about. I'm not a VR guy. I don't really give a shit about VR, if we're being honest. At some point I'll play it, but I don't see the value in it right now. Not until some of the things are ironed out. I think it's just too early. We're not there as a society yet for VR. But I think it'll just be a short sizzle reel with a game or two. I don't think it'll be a big deal. Talk about the Vita at all, too, so get over that. Like, the Vita's dead, man. Sorry. Another one that's interesting and funny at the same time is Knack 2. They're going to talk about Knack 2. They have to talk about Knack 2. Why Knack 2 exists is beyond my comprehension other than Mark Cerny, designer, lead architect of the PS4. But they'll talk about Knack 2, whatever. Nothing more needs to be said about that. Horizon Zero Dawn DLC, I think they'll talk about Horizon Zero Dawn. They're going to talk about how successful it was and how much money it made for them. And they'll announce some sort of DLC for that or plans for a downloadable expansion for that game. Absolutely. We'll also get some Uncharted Lost Legacy details. Obviously, they've already announced the release date of August 22nd, I believe. But they will talk about it more and show like a kind of a sizzle trailer for that. And then a couple ones I have to close it out. Insomniac Spider-Man game, I think they'll show that in more details. I think that'll be announced as a 2018 game, but I don't think that that's all you'll get is a sizzle, maybe more of it, maybe actually some gameplay of it, what it's going to look like, but I think it's not this year. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, obviously the PlayStation brand has the marketing deal for that game, so they'll talk about it some more. That game's supposed to come out in September, we'll see, but they will talk about that definitely. My other two, I believe that their E3 press conference is going to close out with more Last of Us 2 because that's what the kids want. So they're definitely going to talk about Last of Us 2 without a doubt. And that will close. That will be the final thing that closes the conference. And then the other one, this is my pie-in-the-sky Sony prediction, is that there's a new Crash Bandicoot. Because obviously they're making this remaster. Obviously the anticipation for it's pretty high. So I think that the time is right for them to make a new Crash Bandicoot game. And here's where it will get tricky. Is it a Sony exclusive game? Obviously, Activision are the people that own Crash Bandicoot, so that could come to both platforms, but maybe it's a timed exclusive. They're still being cagey about, is the Crash Bandicoot Insane trilogy coming to Xbox as well down the road? They haven't really said yet. So, but I think you get a Crash Bandicoot new game, absolutely. I think that's their big surprise of E3 this year. And I hope they have more surprises that I have no idea about. The one thing that you've noticed I haven't talked about at all in this prediction thing at all would be God of War. I don't think God of War is talked about at all because I think God of War is a 2018 March release. We will definitely talk about that at PSX in December, but I think God of War is going underground. I think it had its big coming out party last E3, and I think this year it skips E3, and then they talk about it at PSX. But I don't think they talk about God of War at all. Final thing, and I don't know where this would fit or where this would make the most sense, but earlier this year, Netflix, it kind of came out that Netflix is publishing a Castlevania animated series, which is really bizarre and really weird, and it's odd because Konami acts like they don't give a shit about games anymore and they just want to make pachinko machines, but then they do stuff like this, or they come out with, Metal Gear Survive, maybe? Is that what it's called? It's something shitty like that. And then they do stuff like that and you're very confused, but I think that Castlevania is poised for a comeback. Konami would definitely do this, obviously, with Bloodstained Ritual at Night coming next year. They could easily announce a new Castlevania. Now, do they do something as shitty as say, hey guys, guess what? It's Castlevania Symphony of the Night 2, and then I go, shit, well, I have to buy that, even though it's probably not going to be as good. I don't know. But why make a Netflix television show? Why allow them to do that if you're not planning on reviving that franchise in any capacity other than just using those characters for pachinko machines? I don't know. But my prediction is that a new Castlevania is announced. I think it will be like the older Castlevanias. I don't think it'll be like a Lords of Shadow big 3D thing. But anyways, thanks for watching. This has been my E3 predictions. Hopefully E3 2017 is good. Hopefully it has surprises. Hopefully everything turns out well with it. As always, thanks for watching. Make sure to share, like, and subscribe to the channel. And anyways, until next time.